So Jada, congratulations on the film. I really, really enjoyed it, and yes, I am a cat person, and I confess to that. But actually, I felt that people who aren't necessarily cat lovers would find it interesting as well. Now, of course, there's loads and loads of cat videos out there. We've all seen them, but this really isn't one of them. So, what did you set out to achieve in making your documentary?
Well, thank you so much, first of all, for your kind words. And yes, it's a film about cats, but it's also a lot about the city and about our interaction with animals and just making a place in our lives for other beings, and the benefits of it for both sides. You know? And I set out to make a visually cinematic film that was also emotional and thought-provoking, but really completely from the perspective of cats. So I wanted to be true to them, because I think, although I enjoy some of these cat videos online, I find that most of them only capture one side of a cat, or even just like a funny moment or a silly moment or something odd, So I wanted to create a documentary that was really true to what cats are and who they are. And street cats in Istanbul are very unique because they are authentic and they are genuinely, natural to that part of the world. And so watching them be who they are, and taking the time to give them that respect, to follow them all day, to see what they're doing, was the main idea for the film.
And this is very much, if you like, a cat's eye view of the city. So how did you actually go about filming it to get that view, that sort of ankle height view that you get?
Well, after multiple attempts on, remote-controlled cars that we fitted with cameras and, tiny vests with micro cameras that we thought we could put on the animals, which all of that failed. The best thing that worked was literally putting the camera at our ankle level and following them around that way. And we did that with a platform sort of rig that we created, and allowed us to control the focus, and but at the same time not hunch over the entire time that we were filming.
So that was custom made?
That was custom made, yeah. Charlie and Alp, our two cinematographers, put their heads together and created it after 2 days of hunched over back pain.
So the research for the film must have been really extensive, because you hear the voices of so many people, we meet so many people as well. How did you go about that? How long did it take?
We did a research shoot in the summer of 2013 to first establish what kind of film it could be, what the format could be. We didn't know if we could do a March of the Penguins, which of course cats sleep a lot and groom themselves a lot. They don't carry
their babies around on their feet
for 6 months in the freezing temperatures. So we quickly found that, and also in Istanbul, it's as vertical as it is horizontal. So if a cat goes into a building, you can't really. It's not like making a nature documentary where you strategically place cameras under the only trees that are there, where the animal's going to come and sleep for 2 hours. It would have been really impossible for us to do. So that's what we kind of figured out while we were there. And as we were talking to people about the cats, we found that they were very sort of poetic and philosophical about their interaction with them. And so we realized that it had to be part of the film quite early on. And 3 months leading up to the actual filming, we had local filmmakers walk the streets just like we had this previous summer, and talk to people, everybody that they could find about that cat or this cat, and where does that cat live, and what does this cat do, and can we find a cat on a boat? If cats did travel the world with us on boats, we need to see them on boats, and we did, which makes me really happy.
You got one at the end.
Exactly.
Yeah. The 7 cats that you've actually got in the film, how did you choose those? Presumably you must have had more to start with.
We had 35 leads, which came quickly down to 19 when we were filming, because we couldn't actually find them. They didn't always show up. So we managed 19 cats that we could actually start filming, but out of those 19, only about 9 or 10 of them felt like full stories that highlighted certain themes about life and our existence and cats themselves, and also good footage. And out of that, in the edit, it came down to the 7 that were unique and when strung together in this particular way, portrayed or took you on an emotional journey and a bit of thought-provoking journey, but really just it meant to appeal to your senses.
Did you have
just like
a
a cat.
particular favourite out of those seven?
I mean, I love Bengu. I love her so much. She's just such a vibrating, purring fur ball, and really would respond to your calling her name. We would show up often ahead of everybody else in a location before shops had opened and say, Bengu, Bengu, and she literally would come running from around the corner. But they were all so much fun.
I have to say I loved the gentleman cat,
Yes.
the grey one, particularly his habit of straddling on the windowsill when he was hungry.
Yeah.
I thought that was incredibly civilised.
It's amazing. And amazing he knew that he shouldn't go in.
Yeah, he just didn't want to go in at all, did he?
No, he understood that was not something he should do. And the owner of that restaurant actually was not a cat person until he showed up. And she was converted to a cat person and was, really, really attached to him and was amazed that he knew not to come in. Found it amazing that he knew to respect her boundaries.
So you actually got, if you like, a rather challenging cast to deal with. How did you get them to cooperate with being filmed?
I had a rule. If we approached the cat and he ran away, that was him not giving consensus for filming. It was very straightforward. I was very keen that we didn't do anything to manipulate them, that we didn't, use them for this, story's sake. And we didn't have to. They did everything over and over. They gave us multiple takes on the same thing. There was a few occasions where I thought we were working with a trained actor, because there's one cat at the end of the film who walks on the edge of the building and in front of the sunset, and he stops and looks in our direction and sort of nods knowingly. He did that like 6 times. It was amazing how
Some cats
I would just do
like
this
camera,
in front.
Don't they?
They do, and I felt like they felt the lens was a giant eye that was watching them. And so during the filming, we also I found artists and philosophers and professors of all kinds who had specific affinities for cats to speak to them about life with cats and cats in general. And there was always this theme of this relationship between the lone artist or writer and a cat. And one actress actually said, the actress in Gams's life, pointed out that she thought, much like how a stage play only comes to life with an audience, we also, like cats and humans, also come to life when someone is observing us. It's a little different. And cats, they will sit there and they will look at you. You'll be alone in a room with a cat and he'll stare at you for 5 minutes. And for some people it's very unnerving. But to me, and to I think a lot of other people, it's very comforting, because they are validating our existence. They're saying, I see you. They don't want anything. They're not asking for food or
They're
to
not
be
being
pets.
intrusive.
No, they're just sitting there and saying, oh, I see you. I don't care if they see us as giant cats or they think that they're humans. Whatever the interpretation is, I'm not going to assume to know what they're thinking. But the end result for me is this sense of validation. And I think this reciprocal relationship goes both ways. I think they really enjoy also being recognized.
When you use the term street cats, I think the picture you get in your mind's eye is actually of cats that aren't particularly well looked after, almost feral. But the cats here are actually very well looked after indeed. I mean, there was one guy I remember saying he had a tab at the vets, and an awful lot of other people did as well. What's different about the way that they're treated by the people of Istanbul?
It stems from the fact that these cats have been there for thousands of years. We actually interviewed a veterinary zoologist who had been given the task of cataloging every animal remain that was found while they were digging the tunnel between Asia and Europe under the Bosphorus. And of course, they found so much stuff because there's an archaeological dig anywhere you dig in Istanbul. And he showed us a cat remain, a full skeleton of a cat, a young cat from 3,500 years ago, that had a break in his thigh bone that had healed in a way that suggested a human had wrapped it. So he was thinking that this relationship is at least 3,500 years old. And now there's some DNA studies that just came out last week, which were super exciting to me, because they're tracing back the original cat-human relationship, the quote-unquote tamed cat, which is always, debatable, but to roughly 9,000, 10,000 years ago to the Fertile Crescent, which is basically what is now Turkey. And so as a result, there's nobody who has a memory of the city without cats. It doesn't exist. It's almost like the city without Bosphorus or the city without its 7 hills. It's as built into the nature of the city as those things. So that's a big part of it. So you learn these traditions of how to coexist with an animal around you as it's passed down from generation to generation. Things are changing now with new technology. Like even cat food didn't exist when I was a kid. You would give the cats and dogs whatever you didn't eat, which was actually more environmentally friendly, actually. So there's the Islamic element of the Prophet Muhammad having multiple references to his encounter with his cat and the things that he did as an example of treating the other with respect. So it's a multifaceted reason why people, especially on the coastal towns in Turkey, are very cat friendly. And in Istanbul especially so, I think, because it's a huge city and we're losing touch with one another, and we need desperately more and more to feel that connection, and cats provide that.
So what sort of picture did you need to paint of Istanbul itself?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to show you a side that was different than what you see in news reports or in tour guides. I wanted to take you on a journey that only a local would take you. I wanted to take you to the restaurants that I like. I wanted to take you on the ferry and go across and show you, the markets and, every single place that made it into. I did discover new places as I was filming, because I hadn't been to every single town, every single neighborhood in Istanbul like I did for this filming. But there was also a lot of places that are my favorites that ended up in the final film, which make me very happy. I wanted to take you for a few days to Istanbul and give you that feeling.
Obviously, your love of cats really sort of shines through in the film. Do you have any of your own?
Not at the moment, because I live in Los Angeles, and it's a slightly different setup for cats. And we travel a lot, and we're gone for long periods of time. And I do feel responsible for providing a stable, consistent home, human involvement.
It's a responsibility when you take it.
Of course, and it's I'm never going to recapture the relationship I had with street cats in Istanbul when I was growing up there, and that is really what I miss. And I would like to try to have community cats with my neighbors, because that could be possible, but then I have to make sure that everybody is okay with it, which is hard.
Fingers crossed that you pull that one off.
Yeah.
Ceyda, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.